Sometimes in life you're the hammer, and other times you're the nail. And in Arsenal's case, they have felt both in a short span. Tonight, Arsenal felt the wrath of Newcastle losing 4-0 on aggregate in the Carabao Cup semi-final, a tie that Arsenal kind of knew was over from the first leg, losing 2-0 at home, and then coming up against the Newcastle team who are very, very strong, especially at home, was a feat that was too big for them to climb. And again, sometimes you're the hammer, other times you're the nail, and Arsenal have felt both sides. It's brilliant to win 5-1 against Man City, but you also have to understand the duality of Arsenal's situation. They aren't at the peak of their powers, and it's crazy to say that about Arsenal after beating Man City, but they're not. They have a way to go. It would be wrong to say they are, but the way that Newcastle approached this tie is everything. Newcastle took a very, very good team out in both legs. Winning 2-0 each side is not easy, and it showed their quality as well, and it's shown how hard Arsenal have had to fight against Newcastle for a number of years. So we're going to take a look through the game, a look through the lineup, a look through the stats. First, starting off with a Newcastle team setting up with 5 at the back. Was a little bit surprised they haven't deployed this as much recently, but when you've got an array of centre backs like Botman, Burn, and Shaw, you can utilise the three of them. Having some aggression from that centre back position when needed, can drop back, have the solidity of 5 defenders. They weren't too concerned of extending that lead unless Arsenal gave them an opportunity to do so. Gordon in the midfield with Murphy on the wings, 2 hard-working wingers who can deliver quality and in their own right as well. Tonali and Bruno in the midfield with Isak up top. So again, a very strong team from Newcastle's standpoint. Arsenal were unchanged from the City game. Unfortunately, I missed a review on that game, but it was one that I was celebrating, and it was one that I wish I could have reviewed. Unfortunately, life gets in the way sometimes, but yeah, it was the same team, and a team that performed really well against Man City. Did give them an opening back into the game. Was a little bit fortunate in terms of getting back quickly in the game, but again, put Man City to the sword, and expectations would have risen after that performance. You can't expect it not to. However, Newcastle dealt with Arsenal the way they needed to. We'll take a look at the stats again. Very similar from the 2 games. Arsenal dominating the possession, potentially having a fair share of the chances, probably having more of the chances, but Newcastle clinical, very, very clinical. And the writing was on the wall from the opening embers of the game. Very competitive from Newcastle, came out strong, even with the extra defender. They were very much looking to get Arsenal out playing and then hit them on the counter attack. That's exactly what they did. They moved the ball very, very well up the pitch. The first goal wouldn't have been a surprise for Arsenal because the writing was on the wall before then. Isak had a goal ruled off for offside, a brilliant run off the back of Gabriel, and it was a strike that, essentially gave Arsenal a warning shot. But Newcastle were all over Arsenal. Arsenal couldn't breathe. The press was in full effect. Really just have to give my props to Eddie Howe, because I had some doubts about how he set up his team. Were they too defensive? But they had a good shape, and that shape allowed them to push Arsenal and press Arsenal in the way that they wanted to. The goal itself was brilliant work by Murphy. Again, Isak causing a number of problems, and that's one of the major talking points. Isak doesn't get the highest rating, doesn't get a goal or an assist, but he was causing Gabriel and Saliba a number of problems. We spoke about the disallowed goal, playing off and peeling off the back of Gabriel. This time working very, very well to disrupt Saliba, getting him all kinds of confused, and then finding a strike that hits the bar. Murphy, who again has played very, very well, got the rebound, finished at a very high level, taking it completely off the rebound and finishing it, getting in the back of the net. Was no less than Newcastle deserved. The 1-0 scoreline didn't flatter them. They had executed a game plan of, giving Arsenal what they wanted to a degree. And that goal was indicative of Arsenal being wasteful and Newcastle being clinical, because prior to that opportunity, Arsenal had a brilliant opportunity to go ahead. Odegaard, who had a number of opportunities just before the goal, the first one gets blocked. Again, I think he should do better here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, in the 18th minute, his shots gets blocked. He gets in a good position. I actually think he does a little bit too much in that position. There's an opportunity for him to get a strike on goal a lot earlier. but it's the one in the 19th minute that would be very, very annoying for Arsenal fans. The fact that he doesn't get the shot on target, he misses a great opportunity while being put through. And again, it's not a one person thing. I've said it before. The whole team needs to be accountable for their finishing. A poor performance from Kai Havertz. Martinelli wasn't good on the right wing. I want to see Ethan play there a lot more. It just wasn't a performance, and it wasn't a team performance that was good enough to turn the tide. And especially when you don't finish your opportunities, because if Arsenal score that opportunity by Odegaard, they can go in 2-1 potentially at half time, or the tide starts to change. The crowd get a little bit nervous, but the moment it goes 3-0 up on aggregate, Arsenal are in a world of pain, and that's exactly what the Murphy goal did. And following on from then, Arsenal looked to have a mountain to climb, and that's exactly what they had. A mountain that they could not climb. Coming out second half, the nail in the coffin. Gordon pouncing on a mistake from Arsenal, a complete failure from the defence. Raya playing the ball into Rice, who doesn't get an opportunity. Shah is all over him, loses the ball falls to Gordon, he puts the ball perfectly into the back of the net. An opportunity that Arsenal couldn't put away is one that Newcastle could. And 2-0 up, writing was on the wall. You kind of see that the Arsenal players were kind of mailing it in towards the end, and that's not faulting their effort and energy. It's just being what it is. The writing was on the wall, and I would have taken Declan Rice off a lot earlier. That's the player I would have taken off. Odegaard, I would have kept on just out of sheer annoyance. I think the performance wasn't good enough. And again, the levels are different. You're the captain, and I do question if he should be our captain going forward. I look at a Rice as a captain. I look at it as Gabriel as a captain. I wasn't overly impressed by Odegaard. And again, I have to give him his props against Man City. He was good there, but I do have long-term questions about how we maneuver forward with the likes of Saka and Wanyeri, and with Wanyeri having a position where he can play centre mid on the right hand side, linking up with a Saka. That's exciting going forward. Odegaard may have another role to play in the team in another area of the pitch, but again, there's a lot to think about for Arsenal. Knocked out of another cup competition. Mikel Arteta's record in cup competitions isn't great. It's undeniable. From an Arsenal fan perspective, of course, I want to win a trophy. Carabao Cup is no different to that. FA Cup is no different to that. Of course, you've got your heart set on the biggest trophies, but you cannot turn your nose up at any competition, especially being an Arsenal fan and you haven't won a trophy in the last 5 or so years. Of course not. But the club have to assess what they want to do. And I think they kind of put their writing on the wall in January. Not signing a player, not making any moves is essentially, putting your hands up and saying what will be this season. And that's essentially what they've committed to. And so if there is criticisms at the end of the season about no trophies, then you know they are not exempt from any of the blame. They are wholeheartedly culpable for the blame. The summer transfer window wasn't good enough. It's something that we've spoken about previously, so I won't harp upon it. But what you have to do is give Newcastle their props. Brilliant performance from them all round on both legs. Came in and did a very professional game. They look like a team who had been to the final before, and that's exactly what they are. They knew how to play the occasion, and they played it very, very well. A special shout out to Isak for his performance across both legs. Gordon as well, 2 goals in both legs as well. Just all round, Newcastle performed very, very well. They were a unit. They were clinical. They took their chances. Arsenal had all the chances in the world to make this a competitive tie. They couldn't. They didn't. And that's something they're going to have to learn from. Until next time, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I'll catch you soon. Let me know your thoughts on this game and what Arsenal need to do to end this season with silverware, if that's even a possibility, which is looking unlikely. I'll catch you soon. Peace.